Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege came out all the way back on December 1st of 2015. While it's had its ups and downs, it's still going pretty strong. Within these past 9 years, a lot has changed in Siege, as well as a bunch of new lore and theories being discovered, and of course the many glitches and bugs. In this Iceberg video, I aim to cover as much as I possibly can about what's gone on in these past 9 years. So grab some food or get comfy in bed, because this is going to be a long one. The top of the iceberg. Bartlett University. Bartlett University was a map that launched with Siege, but is now no longer in the game. Originally it was meant only for T-hunting situations, but was later added into multiplayer, and that's including ranked, during the mid-season of Operation Red Crow. The Siege community was responsible for it being added to multiplayer because people said it was kinda odd for a map to only be in situations. Ubisoft knew that it would be bad for multiplayer, but they added it anyway because that's what the people wanted. It was later removed entirely from multiplayer during Operation Chimera because people hated it so much, and then it was fully deleted from the game during Operation Brutal Swarm. T-Hunt. I can't call it by the full name since YouTube doesn't like all that, but T-Hunt was a PvE mode that was released with the launch of Siege. It consisted of elimination, where you had to go in and kill a bunch of enemies, hostage extraction, where you had to go in and rescue a hostage, disarm bombs, where you had to go in and defuse bombs, and the last mode being protect the hostage, where you had to defend the hostage from waves of enemies. There were 3 difficulties: normal, hard, and realistic. Realistic being the most insane difficulty, where you would die in like 2 shots, and you fought against the White Mask Gang, which we'll get into later. It was sadly removed during Operation Deep Freeze and replaced with the Defender AI playlist, Target Drill, and Landmark Drill. I personally enjoyed T-Hunt a lot more, and I think everyone else did, but Ubisoft said they took it out because it was just an outdated system. It sucks that T-Hunt is gone, but you know, what can you do? Article 5. Article 5 was unlocked after completing all the situations. It was the only situation that was co-op, and you needed 5 players to even start the mission. This took place on Bartlett University, but there was gas all over the map that was deployed by the White Mask Gang. Before even starting this, there's a pretty cool cutscene that played, as well as getting another cutscene for completing it. I'll play both of them for you now.
We have an active situation. The nature of this threat will require a full strike team. You're being deployed. There was no other team in the world that could have accomplished what you did today. But this victory comes with a cost. Our nation has been hit where we are most vulnerable. But we must remain vigilant in the face of this emerging threat, as the ultimate goal of our enemy is still unknown. Reactivating Team Rainbow was the right choice. The only choice in these uncertain times. Our work is just beginning. We will track down the people responsible for this attack. We will show them that we are not afraid, and we will stand ready to repel any threat they throw our way. Now that Rainbow is back.
Sadly, Article 5 is no longer in the game because it was removed alongside T-Hunt during Operation Deep Freeze. Title screens. Title screens are a really cool, unique intro to every season. The last one was during Operation Shadow Legacy. I couldn't find anything specific on why they were taken out, but some people speculated they were removed to help people reconnect to rank faster. My personal favorite has to be White Noise. It fits the vibe of the season really well, and it's just a really cool theme overall. Ranked 1.0. Ranked 1.0 was the original ranking system that launched with Siege. You had to play 10 matches at the beginning of each season, and then you were given a rank after those 10 games. Originally in the ranked beta, everyone would be reset to around a gold MMR, but then this was changed a bit later on. What it was up until the change of Ranked 2.0 was every season there would be a soft reset. For example, if you finished in Champion, you'd have a soft reset back to Platinum. And the more games you played, the less elo you would gain. So usually by the end of the season, you'd be gaining and losing about 25 to 30 elo per game. There was no hidden MMR, so the rank you saw was your rank. Do you like this system better? Let me know down in the comments below if you think Ranked 2.0 or Ranked 1.0 is better. Old ranks. The look of ranks have gone through a few changes throughout the years, starting with what the game launched with. There were 4 levels of Copper, Bronze, Silver, and Gold, 3 levels of Plat, and Diamond was the highest rank with just 1. The looks of these ranks later changed, but they still kept the same system as before. Later on, Copper, Bronze, and Silver had an additional 5th rank added, while Gold lost one, moving it down to 3 like Plat, and Plat got changed so it looked like Diamond. Diamond was given a new purple color and 3 rank tiers, and the new final rank was Champion with 1 tier. Currently, every rank has 5 tiers except Champ, with Emerald being the newest rank between Plat and Diamond. Night maps. Night maps are exactly what they're called, a nighttime version of the map. Currently, there are 2 night maps in the game, New Favela and Stadium Alpha, but unfortunately they're only in casual. Night maps used to be in both ranked and casual, but were removed because of the unfair lighting advantage. The maps that had night versions were Bank, Border, Chalet, Clubhouse, Coastline, Consulate, Favela, Hereford Base, House, Cafe Dostoevsky, Canal, Oregon, Presidential Plane, Skyscraper, Theme Park, Tower, and Yacht. My personal favorites were definitely Favela and Coastline, because they had a much better vibe to them. There's always rumors floating around that they're going to return. I mean, I could see them coming back to casual, but personally, I don't think they'd come back to ranked. But hopefully I'm wrong. Border and answer. Anyone that's played on Border for sure knows this guy.
Do not attempt to board the helicopter.
Consulate radio. The iconic radio in the Consulate garage that plays an all-time banger that's been in the game since launch, and thankfully made its way to the rework. The actual song name is called Just Like That, and it is on Spotify. Nighthaven. I'm about to summarize the entirety of Nighthaven's lore, so get ready for all that. Nighthaven is a private military company that was founded and currently led by Callie. Callie had used her family's fortune and influence to start a private security company after she had left the Indian military. To expand her clientele, this is when Nighthaven was founded and were able to operate overseas. Nighthaven regularly negotiated multi-million-dollar contracts with clients all around the world. In the early days of Nighthaven, Callie had traveled to Croatia to look for new recruits where she met Osa. Callie was impressed by Osa's unique perspective and creativity for military engineering. Osa then became the director of R&D for Nighthaven, creating most of their cutting-edge technology, like Callie's explosive lance and prototype suit, Wamai's magnets, Ace's Selma's, and Aruni's prosthetics. In 2019, Callie and Wamai, and by extension Nighthaven, were invited by Harry to join Team Rainbow. This was after Nighthaven successfully stop pirates from taking control and killing everyone on the supertanker Argus. It was revealed that the real reason they were hired was to keep a close eye on Nighthaven so they wouldn't be hired by any opposing organization. Later down the line, Osa was also brought into Rainbow during the 2022 Six Invitational. Osa then invited members of Team Rainbow to visit Nighthaven, who were Ella, Fuse, Smoke, Pulse, Twitch, IQ, Blitz, Zofia, and Echo. Osa had special gear made for all of them, which is part of Callie's plan to get operators and tech from Rainbow, to then cut ties with them. By the end of the 2022 Invitational, Ella, Smoke, Finka, Pulse, and IQ left Rainbow to join Nighthaven. A few months later, an assassination using Nighthaven equipment took place of the CEO of a company called Yahata Data Security. Azami was the bodyguard of the CEO, which caused her to reach out to Rainbow for help to investigate the murder and get revenge. This led to months long of Rainbow investigating Nighthaven, finding evidence on them. In late 2022, Nock and Sense infiltrated Nighthaven to find out more about the murder of Yahata. Nock ended up fighting Nighthaven's newest recruit, Grim, who sold his 1v1 to Nock, and she got away with the data. After some time, Grim was able to track down Nock in her home. They got into a fight where Nock once again won the 1v1, but Grim said he was there to deliver a message, which was to stop attacking Nighthaven or there will be consequences, implying that Nock's identity would be revealed and her family would be killed. This and other evidence suggested that Nighthaven was innocent, but another operation was conducted with Solace, where she would talk to Callie after they fought. Callie claimed that she was innocent and the weapons were stolen, but Rainbow already knew that, but they didn't want Nighthaven to start a war over it, because Rainbow knew it would do more harm than good. Callie, Osa, and all the senior operators were captured by Rainbow, putting Nighthaven out of commission for the time being. That's all I have on Nighthaven, since that's where the article ends on the Rainbow Six wiki. Reworked maps. Pretty much all the maps have seen changes throughout the years, but some maps got an entire rework. Those maps are Chalet, Consulate, Favela, Hereford Base, House, Cafe Dostoevsky, Canal, Oregon, Outback, Skyscraper, and Theme Park. The other maps that got minor reworks were Stadium Alpha, Stadium Bravo, Bank, Border, Clubhouse, which is kind of in the middle of minor and major changes, Coastline, and Villa had some lighting changes. Siege Mobile. It's actually called Rainbow Six Mobile, but it's basically a very watered down version of Siege for phones. Reading through the Siege wiki, pretty much everything seems the same. There will just be less ops, less maps, which makes sense because you don't want a game to take up 30 gigabytes on your phone. There will be 16 operators, not including recruit, according to the wiki. And there's also going to be a thing called tickets that they're adding, which I'm guessing is just like Renown. But it said that tickets are earned through ticket packs. You'll also be able to try operators before buying them, and ops will have a progression system where you unlock new items individually for them. They're also adding in perks to modify operators' abilities, and you'll be able to equip up to 3 of them. The game modes will be Secure Area, Bomb, and Team Deathmatch, and the maps will be Bank, Border, Clubhouse, and Oregon. According to the App Store, it's expected to be officially released of September 19th of this year, so we'll see if that does happen. Macie Jay. Macie Jay is a well-known Siege streamer and YouTuber who is most known for his big brain plays. He's one of my favorite content creators to watch since he's always thinking outside the box and finding new things in a 9-year-old game to this day. His first ever Siege video is titled Clever Kills with Pulse, where he showed off that Pulse was actually a viable operator and also his infamous pre-placed C4 traps. After that, he would post more high IQ plays, gaining traction within the Siege community, with a lot of his videos gaining over 1 million views. When I first started watching Macie Jay, I binged all of his videos while I was in class because I wanted to become a smarter Siege player. He still managed to impress me to this day, most recently being the Proximity Alarm and Nitro Cell combo, and of course the Impact EMP to stop a Nitro Cell. Macie still uploads fairly regularly on YouTube, where he has 1.4 million subs, as well as streams on Twitch pretty frequently, where he has 1.1 million followers. King George. King George is a retired pro player who's about 106 years old. I thought I'd mention George because I feel like he's a keystone of the Siege content creators, and he's also one of the highest levels, or the highest level, being 730. He's also known for his iconic rage moments, which are always pretty funny.
Did I trade at least? How on earth? You're in the animation of climbing a fucking ladder, and you're so laggy that you kill me anyway. Look, what is this kill cam? This game is fucking trash, dude.
George streams very frequently on Twitch, where he's gained over 1.1 million followers, and on YouTube, where he's gained over 300,000 subs and a second channel with 100k. I also won one of his giveaways for one of the rare skins for Sledge, so shout out to the old man for that. Jynxzi. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the name Jynxzi, but if you aren't, I'll give you the quick rundown. Jynxzi is a Twitch streamer with over 6 million followers that revived Siege when it was basically on death's door. His rise to fame happened when he and other people were posting funny moments from his stream on TikTok, which is basically a speedrun to success.
Oh, don't worry, just flip the cameras. Dude, you're in a 1v5! And then Thermite just, like, walks away! Thermite! Okay. This is the worst clip yet. No. Worst clip of the day right here. Worst clip of the day right here. Macie thinks he's a security guard at a mall. He's in a 1v5 scenario just flipping cameras. And then Thermite doesn't even know what planet he's on. Oh, he put a claymore at your feet. Spartan, you might want to stay on FIFA.
These clips not only got Jynxzi more viewers on Twitch, but also brought people back to Siege as well as bringing in new players. Siege was brought to its all-time highest, and on top of that, Jynxzi was also hosting his 1v1 tournaments where he's played against some of the biggest and best players of Siege, his most popular one being versus Beaulo. Jynxzi still streams frequently, as well as uploading to YouTube where he's gained over 3.7 million subs. And not to flex, but Jynxzi reacted to one of my videos where it's currently sitting at 1.7 million views on his channel.
Yo, subscribe to that guy, Gazebo Meister. My boy, you made a banger.
That isn't the first time either he's reacted to one of my videos, the other one being on my YouTube where he's reacted to one of my AI storylines. Alright, but enough about me, let's get back on topic. Basically, Jynxzi revived Siege, and I'm not sure where Siege or myself honestly would be without him. Spoit. Spoit is considered one of the best Siege players of all time. He would begin his rise to fame by posting clips on YouTube of his insane mechanical skill, showing off that he has some of the best aim in Siege.
Oh.
Once he turned 18, organizations were looking to pick him up, and this is when he joined Rogue. Rogue would then go all the way in the 2022 6 Berlin Major, securing the win.
And Astro expects on the downstairs. Last 15. It's literally now or never. Spoit finds one. 2 left standing. The punt's got to get stuck. They find the down as well. Yesterday they took the crown from LA. Today they take the kingdom from Latam. Run on your body. Major champions.
Spoit would also win MVP for a bunch of things at that major, proving he's one of the best. Spoit is now a member of M80, and he still posts on YouTube regularly, where he's gained over 800,000 subs, as well as streaming frequently on Twitch, where he's gained over 500,000 followers. Shaiiko. Shaiiko is a pro player who is widely considered as one of the best Siege players of all time. Back in 2017, Shaiiko joined Era Esports, competing in the Coup de France tournament, which was his first appearance in the competitive Siege scene, where his team would place in third, and they'd work their way up to a spot in Pro League, where people saw how mechanically good he is.
One more and Citizen with a backline G2. It's down to Shaiiko, and he's able to get the opening too. But with the 2 players left on the corner, they're able to slip their way out. They've got a bit of a crossfight and a fire either side. He finds one more.
Shaiiko.
Can he get the last? It's a spray through over the top. He gets it, Shaiiko, with a 4K.
Shaiiko ended up getting banned after playing against Penta, which we'll get into more later. After he got unbanned, Shaiiko was picked up by BDS. In BDS's first LAN tournament with Shaiiko, he broke the kill record. This would really put Shaiiko on the map as one of the best Siege players. BDS would rack up a bunch of wins, with Shaiiko getting a ton of MVPs along the way. Shaiiko still plays for BDS to this day and is very well known in the Siege community as one of the best. Rainbow Six Extraction. Rainbow Six Extraction is the sequel to the Outbreak event that was in Siege back in 2018 during Operation Chimera. So first I'll talk about the lore, then I'll talk about the actual gameplay. After the outbreak in Truth or Consequences New Mexico, the Chimera parasite spread around the United States. The parasite evolved into Archaeans. Rainbow created a new division called React, which stands for Rainbow Exogenous Analysis and Containment Team. React's job is to go in and find out more info about the Archaeans and how to defeat them. This is also not canon to the current Siege timeline. So the actual gameplay is fun, but it's kind of repetitive. It's similar to Left 4 Dead, where you go from safe house to safe house. In between each safe house, you need to do a certain objective to progress forward to the next area, and sometimes there'd be a boss fight. If you died, that specific operator couldn't be used until you went in and rescued them, or if you completed a mission with an injured operator, you couldn't use them because they are on a cooldown. You could level up each operator 10 times, unlocking new upgrades and weapons to make things a little bit easier for you. There are 20 operators to play as, and all of them came over from Siege. The mechanics of the game are the same as Siege's were back in 2018, so you can quick lean like the good old days. There's also reinforcing and wall destruction, just like Siege. Unfortunately, this game flopped, so Ubisoft gave up on it pretty quickly and stopped adding any new content, so this game is pretty much dead. White Mask Gang. The White Mask Gang were the main group of enemies when Siege launched. The motives of the White Masks were never really clear. The only thing that was known is that they didn't discriminate who they were attacking, so that was enough to get Rainbow activated. The White Masks had different archetypes. The Ambusher was the main type, who wore a dark gray hoodie with a bright white vest. Roamers were the next common type of enemy, who wore a light gray hoodie and light armor. The next one was the Engineer, who wore a green hoodie with a white vest. And the last one was the infamous Bomber. If you played old T-Hunt, you know about these guys, but they wore heavy armor with bombs strapped to them. They would all talk to each other, which could be heard in T-Hunt, where they yell out commands or what's happening, as well as taunting downed operators.
Get ready. They could be anywhere.
Contact engaging! You need to move out now! Let's do this! They say a swift death is a kind death!
The White Masks are no longer in the game and were defeated in the lore, with Rainbow taking their bank accounts. KiXSTAr. Michael Stockley, also known as KiXSTAr, was a beloved member of the Siege community who sadly passed away on October 11th of 2021. KiXSTAr was an ex-pro who became a caster for Siege. He really was the only caster at the time that understood Siege and could explain things very well for people who really didn't understand the pro scene.
Out. Only 26 bullets left in that Alda, but that's plenty, and he knows this low HP. He can use his Evil Eyes to win this. There's still 40 seconds left, so this is not a rush situation for FaZe. They will pick up Cameraman, so we're back to a 1-on-3. The tension is huge. Well, Evil Eye going to be a massive factor here for Hot and Cold if he can play this correctly. He cannot vault this, so he'll prep it, but that'll give away his rotation and his intentions. It doesn't seem that 9XT has noticed this, though. It doesn't seem like there's a camera, and there's a nice kill for Hot and Cold. He only needs 2 more, and they're both still very low. He can deny the plant with the Evil Eye and just keep himself alive. 19 bullets, so he's got to be careful with that ammunition counter, and here's the denial! And Cameraman has to rush! Will he land the shot? Incredible!
Along with Intero, these two are the most known and most loved duo for commentating Pro League.
Hello everybody, welcome back to our 3rd play day of this stage of this season. I'm Intero and I'm joined by KiXSTAr award-winning caster.
Yes, hello.
KiXSTAr.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here with you,
Don't roll
Parker.
your eyes. I can see you,
You have
young
to
man.
bring it up
I
every
can
time.
see you. All right.
Like, I'm never gonna get away from it. We got to get
Never.
you an award, and then I can make fun of you,
You can't
relentlessly for it.
unwin. You can't unwin the award.
I suppose I can't. No, that doesn't work like.
These two just played off each other so well, and their chemistry was unmatched. Of course, since Kix was a pro, he had crazy mechanical skills and great game knowledge, which you can see in one of his most iconic clips, the 8-second ace on plane.
Behind me.
Okay, get that.
Oh
God!
Op 4 eliminated. Friendly mission successful.
What the fuck, KiXSTAr?
Ubisoft put in a little Easter egg as a nod to this iconic ace. Rest in peace, KiXSTAr. Tio. Tio is a YouTuber and Twitch streamer who is very well known in the Siege community for his funny moments with him and his friends in the early years of Siege.
Oh!
Nice guy. Nice job. No! Fuck!
Are you kidding me? Stefan, don't you dare fall off that building. What?
Oh my god.
Did Wartree just decide to join us? What are you? Did you join? Did you actually fall as well, Wartree? is that possible? How is that possible? How did 4 of us die? Stefan calls us morons.
The reason I'm including Tio in this Iceberg is because I feel he's the main reason a lot of people, including myself, tried to have fun in Ranked. Tio was a main reason for convincing some of my friends to try out Siege so we could all have a good time together, just like Tio and his friends. A good chunk of his Siege videos have millions of views, and for good reason. They're really well put together and hilarious. Tio still posts regularly on YouTube, where he's gained over 1.4 million subs. He also streams very frequently on Twitch, where he's gained over 400,000 followers. Although he doesn't post Siege nearly as much anymore, his other content is still great. Team Rainbow. I'm just gonna read straight off the wiki for this one. Team Rainbow, also known as Rainbow, is an elite international counter bad guy unit that falls under the direct supervision of NATO. The unit was formed in 1999 to combat bad guys' actions worldwide in a more effective way by assembling a team of elite counter bad guy operatives from nations all over the world. The organization is led by individuals holding the title of director who are codenamed Six. Aurelia Arnott was Six for a bit back when Rainbow got reactivated because of the white mask, which was in 2015 when Siege came out. Harry then took over, and now, since he's gone, the 6th seat is vacant. Battle Pass. Since the release of Fortnite, almost every game has seen the introduction of a Battle Pass in some way, and Siege is no different. The first Battle Pass was added during Operation Ember Rise with only 7 tiers as a test run for seasons to come. Operation Shifting Tides had the first big Battle Pass, where it had a pretty standard look. Now they are these weirdly designed mazes, which I'm personally not a fan of. R6 Marketplace. The R6 Marketplace is a website created by Ubisoft where you can buy and sell Siege cosmetics. You can get super rare skins like Glacier, although it's insanely expensive, or you can get a skin from an event you might have missed. It's actually a really cool feature, and I think other games should have something like this. Jaeger and Bandit ACOG. When Siege first launched, Jaeger and Bandit had an ACOG scope, so they're everyone's favorite operators for spawn peeking. I believe they lost them during Operation Blood Orchid, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Regardless, when they were taken out, I remember the Siege community being in absolute shambles when it happened. Now that Defense has ACOG again, it would be kind of fun to see Jaeger and Bandit get their ACOGs back, but sadly, I don't see this happening. Twitch's Drone. Twitch's Drone has gone through a lot of changes over the years. It's seen a few UI changes, the amount of shocks it had, the actual shocks themselves, using one during the prep phase, and not being able to jump. The old shock drone could take out a defender in the prep phase since it did 10 damage, but the other thing was it also had a vertical limit, meaning you couldn't look as high. The shocks also had limited range, unlike they do now, where they have unlimited range and are similar to Zero's camera lasers. The current shock drone also does 5 damage with 3 shocks to start, but they recharge after 15 seconds. It seems like the shock drone is in a pretty good spot now, but you never know with Ubisoft randomly changing stuff. Pistol recoil. The pistol recoil has seen 2 major changes throughout the years. When Siege first launched, pistols had a lot of recoil to the point where you couldn't really see who you were shooting at. The recoil was then changed to next to nothing, making all the pistols very easy to use. Now what we have currently is a little bit of recoil, but very easily manageable. Secure Area. Secure Area is one of the 3 main game modes that launch with Siege. The goal is for attackers to secure a certain room on the map while the defenders have to stop them by any means necessary. It was removed from Ranked during Operation Phantom Sight, but is still currently in Casual. Hostage. Hostage is the second of the 3 game modes that launch with Siege. The goal is an attackers to get in, grab the hostage, and get out, while again, defense has to stop you by any means necessary. If you accidentally kill the hostage on either side, that's an automatic loss for your team that round. Ubisoft actually thought this was going to be the most popular game mode, which is why it's so heavily focused on in the marketing. This was also removed from Ranked alongside Secure Area and Operation Phantom Sight, but still remains in Casual. Bomb. Bomb is the last of the 3 game modes that launch with Siege. The goal is for attackers to get in, plant the diffuser, and disable defense's bombs. Once that diffuser is down, the roles are now reversed, where attackers need to defend the diffuser, and the defenders need to get aggressive and retake the site and disable the diffuser. There are 2 rooms per site, but the diffuser only needs to be planted in one of the 2 rooms for attackers to win. This mode is currently the only game mode in Ranked, but is also in non-ranked game modes. LMG Mounted and Loaded. LMG Mounted and Loaded is the famous T'Chaka quote that is no longer in the game since he got reworked.
LMG mounted and loaded.
Polish system. sisters. The Polish sisters, Ella and Zofia, have some of the most interesting lore in Siege. Zofia is the older sister to Ella, and also the favored child of their father. Despite this, Zofia was always protective of her little sister Ella. Growing up, Ella was close with her grandfather, who pushed her to be more defiant, while Zofia was more the compliant and straight A type of student. Both Zofia and Ella were bullied at their military school their father had attended, since he was the Grom commander and they were given special treatment. Zofia got the worst of it when 3 boys tried to drown her as a prank, which isn't even a prank to be honest, it's just straight up attempted murder. Zofia and Ella both graduated, although Ella graduated from a different school after being kicked out of 2 academies due to lack of attendance. Ella went off to Berlin to study fine arts, but ended up getting hired by a small private security company, while Zofia enlisted in the army and passed the Grom section test with the highest possible scores. Zofia went on to be a hero in Guatemala after a tropical storm hit and caused a massive sinkhole. She ended up saving a kid's life from a landslide, as well as evacuating hundreds of civilians. This earned her a promotion, as well as respect from her peers and commanding officers. This is actually based off a real-life event called Tropical Storm Agatha. Following this, Zofia met who is now her husband during a rogue operation in Mali. Meanwhile, Ella was working as a PMC in Iraq, where she showed off she had an impressive range of abilities except for her attitude. During this time, Ella and Zofia's father passed away, which is very suspicious. At his funeral is where Ella claims she also buried the remainder of her relationship with Zofia. Zofia found out she was actually pregnant a little before her father's passing, but kept it a secret from him. After the birth of her daughter Jana, Zofia tried to reconnect with Ella, but Ella ignored all attempts. Ella would then join Grom, impressing them with her determination. After a mission with Valkyrie, Ella would prove to be a valuable asset and was recruited to Rainbow. When Zofia found out about this, she then reached out to Rainbow, where she was also recruited. Later down the line at the 2022 Invitational, Ella and Zofia would be placed on separate teams where they got into a fight. Ella held Zofia at gunpoint and felt their relationship was completely over. After the game, this is where Ella and Zofia would part ways, with Zofia stating that her father would be ashamed and Ella reminding Zofia that their father is dead, and Zofia left Ella isolated for years. Ella then left Team Rainbow and joined Nighthaven. And that's pretty much the lore of the plus 10 points you get that says just the rivalry, when you're playing as Ella or Zofia and kill one another. This was all taken from the Siege wiki, and that has more in-depth detail if you want to learn more about them. Tachanka statue. There's a Tachanka statue on Villa in the art studio. If you break open this little block, a chiseled out statue of the Lord Tachanka is just chilling there. Harry was the successor to Aurelia, taking the 6th position, making him the new guy in charge of Rainbow. Harry's goal was to improve the synergies of each operator and did psych evaluations on everyone to get a better understanding of them, as well as putting Mira in charge of R&D to improve operator equipment. He also told everyone to call him Harry instead of 6, because he said it did not feel appropriate. Harry then created the program because he felt that if operators had a place to live and train together, they performed better as teammates. This is when Harry found the abandoned stadium in Greece to serve his purpose. Harry then invited Nighthaven, which we went over earlier, which Ash was not a fan of. And in January 2020, Harry launched the first 6 Invitational to test the operators to see what they had learned from the program. A few months later, Harry recruited Sam Fisher as the first instructor of the Rainbow Operations Staff, which was a program that sought to recruit instructors that were specialized in several areas of expertise. Later in 2020, Harry chose 4 team captains who were Ash, Vigil, Mira, and Capital for the 6th Invitational, and he made it clear that they were not allowed to trade teammates. He wanted the captains to learn how to lead people with different backgrounds and specializations. After the tournament that Ash's team had won, Harry was left feeling uneasy after seeing Callie use Ash as bait to win the tournament. The tournament also led to a massive brawl, splitting the operators within Rainbow, but Harry did not discipline Callie or Ash. Over the next year, Harry was unaware of Callie's plan to steal ops from Rainbow, or Ash ordering Flores to spy on Nighthaven. After the operators left to join Nighthaven at the end of the 2022 Invitational, the team chemistry was at an all-time low. Harry wasn't really surprised at Nighthaven's plan, but he found it kind of necessary to see who was loyal to Rainbow. Harry then decided to put together new teams as he could see a rise in crime throughout the world, and he made sure to put ops together that had great team chemistry. In 2023, Deimos came into the picture where he'd set up a trap for Rainbow, exposing the operator's vulnerability, and they had fallen for it. Deimos was face to face with Harry, telling him every operator was going to die one by one, and letting Harry know that he had brought shame to his unit. Harry spoke his final words to Deimos, and then Harry was killed.
Now, if you don't mind, I happen to find you exceedingly fucking boring.
And that's pretty much a summarized version of everything on the Siege wiki about Harry. Beaulo. Beaulo is a Siege pro player who's considered to be one of the best, if not the best Siege player of all time. Beaulo started off posting his clips on YouTube where he showed off his crazy mechanical skill and insane aim, which would grab a lot of people's attention. This is where the iconic quick peeks came from, where Beaulo would just one-tap someone while leaning back and forth at ridiculous speeds.
Oh my god, we're throwing.
A lot of people that went up against Beaulo in the early days of Siege accused him of being a cheater, including pro players.
We're just outside.
Chief, you're muted. Right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. That is so... He just randomly shot through the garage, dude. Literally, he shot at one spot, he completely flicked to the other side of the garage and shot and killed me. Headshotted me. Right in the head. Beaulo is not, this kid's not legit.
But he kept on playing, posting, and streaming where he'd really make a name for himself. He was a young buck on the come up when Siege came out, which meant he wasn't able to play on a pro team until he turned 18. So no one really knew how he'd perform in the pro scene. Just days before Beaulo turned 18, he was picked up by TSM and could finally get his chance to show he was one of the best. Beaulo single-handedly brought a ton of people to the Pro League streams just to watch him play. This is where the iconic phrase, "When does Beaulo play?" came from. He would prove to the Siege community that he is in fact one of the best players by performing pretty well, getting some awards along the way, and of course in 2022, still being a member of TSM, won the 6th Invitational, which is the biggest achievement you can do in the Siege pro scene. Sadly though, next year, TSM didn't qualify for SI, and he decided to call it for the pro scene and announced his retirement in the beginning of 2023.
No easy way to do this. I am retiring from Rainbow Six Pro Play.
After taking almost a year off, Beaulo announced his glorious return to Pro League, joining Dark Zero. Beaulo is currently still on Dark Zero, as well as being very active on his Twitch, where he's gained over 1.3 million followers, and posts very consistently on YouTube, where he's gained over 1.4 million subs. Another keystone of the Siege community and one of my personal favorite content creators.
Jesus Christ, that guy scared me.
The base of the Iceberg. Boston Bear Jew. There's an arcade machine you've probably seen on Theme Park that says Boston Bear Jew. Boston Bear Jew is a Siege player who sadly passed away back in 2017, and Ubisoft put a memorial with all of his stats and his rank to remember him, which was a nice thing for them to do. Different composers. Video game soundtracks, in my personal opinion, are one of the most important parts of making a game good, and Siege is no different. Most people probably play with the music off or at a really low volume when it comes to Siege, but not me. I have it cranked up to 100. But Siege is a long-running game, so obviously things are going to change, and the composers for the soundtrack are no different. The original soundtrack was composed by Ben Frost and Paul Haslinger. Ben did the music for all the original launch maps, which really gave him that Siege feel. While Paul did all the T-Hunt related stuff. Ben did not return for year 2, and Paul took over completely. Then for year 3, they got a bunch of new guys, as well as Paul returning. They brought in Will Bates to do the music just for the Outbreak event. John Opstead took over for the map themes. Paul Haslinger stayed and co-composed all the main season themes. And the last guy was Danny Koch, who did all the Pro League music. That stayed pretty much the same up until year 6, where it's now just John Opstead doing almost everything, except for the Pro League, which is still Danny Koch. Then you have the Siege lo-fi music, which can be heard on the radio in the firing range and is mainly composed by Kill Miami. It's also the music I'm using in the background for this video. Just wanted to mention too that the best Siege theme is the Void Edge theme, also known as Celestial Concerto on the Year 5 album. Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft loves to reference their other games by putting in little Easter eggs. Of course, one of their most famous game series being Assassin's Creed, there are a handful of references to it in Siege. On Villa, if you shoot this hay, you'll hear the same bird sound effect used in Assassin's Creed when jumping into the hay. There's also an assassin, I'm assuming it's supposed to be Ezio, out in the distance on top of a steeple. There's the Assassin's Creed logo on a couple maps as well. There's 2 charms, one for Assassin's Creed Origins and one for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And of course, there's the elite skin for Flores that is straight up Ezio. Recruit Rush. Recruit Rush is an all-time goated thing to do with the boys. As you can see in this clip of mine from like 7 years ago, you'd pick Recruit, obviously, then you choose the GSG-9 as your CTU, the M870 Shotty, flashes, and smokes. Usually you do it in Hostage, but it could be done in other game modes. And this was also back when all this stuff was in Ranked. You then book it inside without stopping for anything and just go straight to the objective. You'd either try to kill everyone or sneakily grab the hostage and book it back outside. But sadly, this is no longer in the game since Recruit was reworked. Lion. Any player that played during Operation Chimera when Lion first dropped will tell you how broken this guy was. Lion gave legitimate wall hacks when he first came out. As a defender, you had 3 seconds to stand still, but if you didn't, you were literally dead meat James because your whole body was outlined in red until the scan was over. Attacking was the easiest thing during Operation Chimera, since you could have newly buffed Blitz, Finka, and Lion. I think the only counter at the time was Mute, not even Vigil's Cloak would hide him. Or the other counter was just closing the app and going to bed or taking a walk. Not only did Lion have Ranked in Shambles, but he also had Pro League in Shambles, to the point where they just banned him from being played. Thankfully, they reworked him and made him much more balanced. Ella. I talked about Ella's lore earlier, but we're talking about pre-nerf Ella and how she was just overpowered. Her gadget really wasn't the problem, it was her primary, the Scorpion. When Ella first dropped, she was seen in pretty much every game sprinting around on defense, with a high fire rate and pretty manageable recoil SMG. Her shotty was honestly just as crazy. Both weapons are still solid today, but not nearly what they once were. Glaz. Glaz, or as I sometimes like to call him, G-Laz, was actually not that great of an operator when the game first launched. But then he got his buff, which gave him a thermal scope, turning him into one of the strongest attacking ops. Every defender you looked at was bright yellow, including through smoke, which is still like that today, only you didn't need to wait for it to be in full effect by standing still. It was full power no matter how much you moved around, so if you saw a smoke grenade get tossed, you knew to steer clear of that area. On top of that, it was pretty much a 2-shot kill on everyone, maybe a 3-shot on a tanked up Doc, but it had a fast fire rate and no recoil. G-Laz isn't in his prime anymore, but he's still solid in some situations. Blackbeard. I feel like everyone has heard the stories of pre-nerf Blackbeard, but I was lucky enough to play as him during this time, and let me tell you, he was unstoppable. Going up against a Blackbeard as a defender, you needed to bank on him having bad aim or a C4 in your back pocket, because headshotting him was out of the equation. Here's a video of someone doing a test on the old shield, but the video is 5 times the normal speed. I don't know what they were thinking with this one. Blackbeard is pretty useless nowadays, but I think he's getting a rework at the end of the year, so we'll see if that makes him better. Serenity 17. Serenity 17 is a name you probably haven't heard in a while, or if you're newer to Siege, you might not know at all. Serenity started off his rise to fame in the Siege community by posting operator guides.
What's up everybody, Serenity here, and today I'll be taking a look at Thermite, arguably the best operator in the game.
And then he started posting ranked clips, which really put him on the map, since he was one of the best players at the time. Serenity would post a lot of Caveira gameplay with crazy plays or insane hiding spots, and he kept posting this type of content very consistently, getting the best clips possible.
Oh, you're in the small tower?
Interrogation?
Okay, covering you?
Yeah.
And then one day, he just stopped posting. The last video he uploaded was 5 years ago, and no one knew where he went. Until recently, when he popped back up and played Siege with the Godly Noob. This wasn't the only place he popped back up though. Serenity actually commented on one of my YouTube shorts and gave some insight on what happened. He said, "As of me, I am not doing too great. I spiraled downwards for years. Will probably publicly explain one day. Hope you guys are doing better." And just to prove real quick that it is legitimately him, here's me clicking on his channel from the comment. But if you'd like to look at it for yourself, here's what the video thumbnail looks like. So Serenity, if you happen to be watching this video, I hope things get better for you, and I want you to know that you're a huge inspiration for me making Siege content, and everybody misses you. Anthony Pitt 1. Anthony Pitt 1 is another YouTuber whose name you probably haven't heard in a while, or if you're a new player, not at all. Anthony Pitt made some of the best and funniest Siege meme videos, clearly putting a lot of time and effort into all of them.
Boy! Hey guys, this is Barack. I love being
These videos would all gain millions of views, which was honestly pretty deserved, but Mr. Pitt had a horrendous upload schedule and would disappear for months at a time due to life getting in the way, which of course, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. After posting meme content for a bit, he decided to change up his content to less memes and more funny moments compilations, which was still great, but it was sad to hear that there would be no more meme videos. After posting this type of content for a bit, Anthony Pitt disappeared. This time it's been 2.5 years. My guess is that life got in the way again and he wanted to leave YouTube behind. Hopefully he does make a glorious return one day. Pick up Beaulo. Pick up Beaulo is a very iconic and very funny clip of early Siege.
Pick up Beaulo, pick up Beaulo, pick up Beaulo, pick up Beaulo, someone pick up Beaulo!
My ears. Well, hey, I appreciate that.
Watch Dogs. Another Ubisoft franchise is Watch Dogs, so of course, there's going to be some Easter eggs in Siege. There's a bunch of the same restaurants and businesses from Watch Dogs, like Gym Center, Miller's Rail, Quinky's, and Bruised. There's also a drawing on the fridge in Old House that people say is supposed to be Aiden and Jackson Pierce from Watch Dogs 1. And then of course, you have the Watch Dogs jackets hung up in Clubhouse. The Division. Another Ubisoft series, this time it's The Division, so of course, there's going to be Easter eggs, although not nearly as many as the previous ones. There's a Division game cartridge on Old Skyscraper, as well as Assassin's Creed, which I forgot to mention earlier. And the only other things that I could find were the Division camo for the UMP and the Division Frost bundle. Far Cry. Yet another bunch of Ubisoft games. The Far Cry games are probably one of the more popular franchises Ubisoft have put out. So naturally, there's some references in Siege, but not too many. There's a Far Cry 3 case on Skyscraper. There's a couple Far Cry Blood Dragon arcade machines on Theme Park. There's a Far Cry 5 Eden's Gate charm, and there's a Far Cry Blood Dragon bundle for Castle. Deployable shield. The deployable shield is one of the best secondary gadgets on Defense, but the old shield was the cause of like 90% of the glitches in Old Siege. Originally, it was a lot more clunky and didn't attach to any doorways. The new one feels a lot less clunky and is also a lot less problematic, and can't forget the little windows they added onto it. Outbreak. Outbreak was a limited time event that came out during Operation Chimera that led to the spin-off of Rainbow Six Extraction, which I talked about earlier. Outbreak took place in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, and had 3 different missions. The missions all had multiple level segments separated by safe rooms. A lot of the normal gameplay mechanics were sped up, like reloading and reinforcing, to fit the more fast-paced gameplay. There were 5 types of enemies: the Grunt, Breacher, Rooter, Apex, and Smasher, and there are also 50 cosmetics in the event and their own special alpha packs. Now for the lore part of Outbreak. The Outbreak all started when a local guy from New Mexico, Boyd Brooks, saw a meteor crash not too far from him. 3 days later, the whole town was quarantined, and a few people from the town are dying from this mysterious illness. Boyd then shows up at the hospital covered in red spikes and has red eyes. A week later, Ash shows up and asks Six to allow Team Rainbow to help with the threat, where she was given the green light to call on other members of Rainbow. This is one of the best things Siege has ever done, and it's a shame it probably won't ever return. Kavera's pistol. Kavera's pistol used to be the strongest pistol in the game. Honestly, even one of the strongest weapons overall. It did 99 damage with no fall off, and it's automatically suppressed, so you don't know which direction you're getting shot from until it's too late. Ubisoft nerfed it though, so it's pretty much like any other pistol. Zophia's Withstand. Back when Zofia was in her prime, she had a Withstand feature that would let her self-revive out of sheer willpower because of lore reasons. It was shortly removed after a moment in Pro League when Rogue lost to Eminem after Rogue folded around because they couldn't kill the Zofia player.
Viral, but it's the trade that happens on the door. They don't quite catch Nate, but there he goes, and there it goes, Corey. I said watch him, and he's the one that finds his way all the way back. Usus tries to get control on the second story, but they're just gonna stick it this time round. There's the Banshee, there's no sticking. They heard him, they see him, they drop him, and now it's just a matter of getting the diffuser down. He's not quite finished. Sophia, they're trying to pull themselves back up, but with 20 seconds and a man upstairs somehow! Aces goes down a 1 versus 1. They lost it. They picked themselves up just in time. Corey versus Usus. Gonna try and stick it in again. But there it is, Usus!
Operation Health. Operation Health took place during Year 2, and the goal was to improve Siege and make it a more stable and less buggy game. This replaced the Polish season, which we'll get into later, so no operators or new maps were released. I remember this being a very dull season of Siege, and also around the time when a lot of my friends stopped playing. They did fix some stuff, but there are still a lot of major glitches after the season. Thermite and Hibana. Thermite is Hibana's mentor, but also her friend, as stated on the Siege wiki, and this can also be heard in some of Hibana's voice voice lines.
As my friend would say, time to ring some ears. As my friend would say, a really big fucking hole coming right up.
Thermite also collaborated with Hibana to create her X-Kairos, and can't forget the picture with Hibana, Thermite, and Pulse hidden in the piano on Fortress. Thermite and Aruni. At some point in time prior to 2015, Thermite was on a mission in Thailand with Aruni, who is a part of the police there. They stopped a bad guy group, but there was a bomb planted on the truck. Thermite tried to defuse it while Aruni was driving it out of the city, but it went off. It scarred Thermite and wounded Aruni pretty bad, hence why she has all the prosthetics, and he's been guilty of it since. However, Aruni doesn't blame Thermite for this, and let him know while they're preparing for the 6th Invitational. Kara's Legion. I hope I'm saying this name right, but the Kara's Legion are a mysterious private military company with bad guy ties, led by former Rainbow operator Gerald Morris, also known as Deimos. They have carried out multiple attacks against Rainbow, including the assassination of Masayuki Yahata, Azami's former boss, the incrimination of Nighthaven for the deed, the assassination of Harry, the attack on Tower resulting in the deaths of several Rainbow recruits, and the attack on Emerald Plains. Following these attacks, Rainbow launched counteroffensives, one on the Kara's base of origins, Lair, led by Tubarão and Thunderbird, and the other on Chalet, taken over by members of Karis, led by Maverick. Year Pass. The Year Pass is similar to the Season Pass, which I'll go over next, but the Year Pass was brought in due to high demand and popularity of the old Season Pass. It only returned for Year 7 and 8. I'm guessing it's not here for Year 9 since there's a lack of content we're getting this year. It gave access to the Battle Pass, which contained the new ops that you could play 2 weeks early, which just means you can play them on that season's release day, and a unique operator skin, as well as a 10% discount in the store. There was also a premium version that gave you another skin and 20 tier skips in the Battle Pass. Season Pass. The Season Pass was a thing from Year 1 to Year 5. It gave access to all 8 ops, weapon skins, headgear, and uniforms. It also gave you a charm, 600 R6 credits, a week early access, which again meant you could play them the day the season came out, a 5% renown boost, and 2 additional daily challenges. A lot more stuff and definitely a lot more worth it. X-Defiant. X-Defiant is a new FPS put out by Ubisoft that is very similar to Call of Duty. Since the game is built around factions used from other Ubisoft titles, of course, Siege made its way in there. They added 3 members of the GSG9 faction, Blitz, IQ, and Jaeger, and they also added in Clubhouse as a multiplayer map. Mute Protocol. Mute Protocol is actually an event that's going on right now while I'm making this video, but that's not the one I'm talking about. The original Mute Protocol was an absolute mess. It launched on August 4th of 2020 and was disabled a day later because of a glitch that made attackers invisible and invincible. The game mode then came back on August 10th, but still had major bugs. There was a new glitch that let you get into the ceiling, basically once again making you invisible and invincible. Sadly, it was never fixed, so the game mode was ruined, which was tragic because it was actually pretty fun. Showdown. The Showdown event was a really cool limited time game mode. It was a 3v3 secure area on a western themed map called Fort Truth. The loadouts were the Boss G, a revolver, 2 smokes, and 2 frags for the attackers. For defense, it was the same weapons, but they had deployable shields and barbed wire. There were also 2 Easter eggs that were pretty cool. One was a Smasher head from the Outbreak event, and the other was the DeLorean from Back to the Future Part 3. Boss G ACOG. When Vigil and Dokkaebi first came out, the Boss G didn't have an ACOG, but that all changed thanks to Bikini Body. He had an entire Siege community backing him, and Ubisoft caved and gave us the Boss G ACOG. There was so much done to get this achieved, from cameos to planting trees, and even naming a star #BossG ACOG. There's a much more in-depth video explaining the process of getting it added, called How One Streamer's Ridiculous Crusade Made Siege's Ultimate Meme a Reality. Goal on Favela. On Old Favela, you could kick a soccer ball into the net and a guy yells out goal. Canal Bathroom. On Old Canal, you can find an interesting magazine and a box of tissues in the stall. I wonder what was in that magazine, below the surface. In this tier, you're going to hear a guest speaking, and that's my guy Varsity Reviews, who helped me put some of this iceberg together. The link to his channel will be down in the description, so make sure you go check out his channel and tell him I sent you. Polish season. I mentioned the Polish season earlier when I talked about Operation Health, so I'm going to give some lore on it, except for the map, which I'm saving for its own tier. It was meant to be Season 3 of Year 2, In this season, we would have gotten Ella and Zofia together rather than them being split into 2 seasons. Sadly, the whole season was scrapped rather than being pushed back, so we'll never know what the season would have been like. Shifting Tides 5 notes. Operation Shifting Tides was the first season where we were introduced to characters that came from Nighthaven, which were Callie and Wamai. In every season, you hear these iconic 5 notes play in some way. Shifting Tides is the only season to not have these 5 notes. My guess is because the characters are kind of separate from Team Rainbow, but they didn't follow this trend for any other Nighthaven ops. Ghost Recon crossovers. There were 2 crossovers that involved Siege in the Ghost Recon games. One was in Ghost Recon Wildlands, and the other one was in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. In the Wildlands crossover, Kavera goes missing, so Valkyrie and Twitch go looking for her with the help of the Ghost. You can also play as every Siege operator all the way up to Parabellum, but sadly, it's just cosmetics. In Ghost Recon Breakpoint, you can play alongside Ash, Finka, and Thatcher as AI, with Legion acting as mission control in Operation Amber Sky. In this operation, the Ghost and Rainbow work together to put a stop to a nerve agent being created and sold called Amber Ruin. You can play as Siege Ops, once again cosmetic only after completing the missions. Buying attachments. I'm sure all the old Siege players remember this one, but yeah, you used to have to buy attachments for your weapons with Renown, which was definitely annoying since Renown was scarce when you first started playing. Select fire. You used to be able to change your weapon from full auto to single fire or 3-round burst. I'm not really sure why it got taken out. It could have been because of all the rapid fire macro cheaters, which is basically when someone put their weapon on single fire but shot it like it was full auto. Guy in the Villa well. Originally, I swear I remember a guy in the well yelling in Italian when Villa first came out, and then the next season he was a zombie, but it's probably just a Mandela effect if I had to guess. But either way, there's something in the well. Some people say it's a zombie, or some people say it's an alien. I think it's a zombie and could be a reference to The Walking Dead. Maestro Hipfire. When Maestro first came out, the hipfire on his LMG was ridiculous.
Hipfire! Hipfire! Hipfire!
Pulse and Hibana. Pulse and Hibana used to date in the Siege timeline. In the Extraction timeline, they actually stayed together and have a daughter named Maho, which is stated in an Extraction bio. But on the main Siege timeline, their relationship was originally kept secret at first, but it was hinted at with things like the Valentine's Day picture for one of those charm challenges. Of course, there's the picture I showed before of Pulse, Hibana, and Thermite. There's a charm called Pulse's Heart that has Hibana's name on it in Japanese. And lastly, pretty much confirming their relationship is when Pulse folded the 1v5 at the 2026 Invitational. Hibana calls Pulse Babe.
Sorry, babe.
However, their relationship ended when Pulse joined Nighthaven. Old lighting. The lighting used to look a lot different back when Siege first came out, but they changed it so you wouldn't go blind when you were looking outside. This is a great side-by-side comparison from when Ubisoft was showing off the changes. Shield heads. Probably one of the most infamous glitches was the Jaeger shield head. This could be done with any operator with a deployable shield, but doing it with Jaeger was definitely the most well known. You had to put down an ADS, pick it back up while holding the button to take out the shield, let go of it, then put the ADS back on the wall, and then take it off. And then you'd have a shield on your head. I really don't know how people figured this stuff out. Melusi and Oryx. Melusi and Oryx swapped loadouts, since Melusi was way too strong when she came out, and Oryx was very underpicked at the time. But this is why there's the Oryx birthday camo on the MP5. Clash and IQ disabled. There was a time when there were 2 very game-breaking glitches. One was with IQ, and the other one was with Clash. For the IQ glitch, you needed her elite skin, and after a bunch of complicated steps, IQ would be invisible and invincible. The glitch basically left her hitbox outside where you did the glitch. The only way to stop her was with traps. The glitch with Clash let you shoot through her shield. This one was a lot easier to do too. You just had to pick up barbed wire and switch to your shield at the same time. Because of both of these game-breaking bugs, Ubisoft disabled IQ and Clash from being played. Rainbow's Magic. Rainbow's Magic is another limited time event that takes place on a version of Presidential Plane. But another cool thing is that the map takes place in the kid's bedroom on Old House. The original game mode was just a hostage reskin, but in the returning Rainbow's Magic game mode, each team had a bear, and the goal was to kill the other team's bear. There's also a few cool little things, like the flower gets sad when you break it, or the wallpaper has planes that fly on it, and you can open some of the presents. Containment. Containment was a limited time event to promote Rainbow Six Extraction. The goal of the game mode was for attackers to destroy nests around the map, while defenders ran around with nothing but an orc stash, knife, and a lot of health to try and stop them. But there's also an Easter egg. If you drive a drone down this tube, you can see some bodies in a secret room that aren't looking too hot. 6 invitational winners removed. Before Stadium Bravo made its way into the regular map pool, it was there just for a limited time event called Road to SI. In the basement of this map, they had the 6 invitational winners posted on a board, and around the stadium you could see Macie Jay. For some reason, when they made it a regular map, they took both Macie Jay and the 6 invitational winners out. Hit rejected. Hit rejected is when your shots aren't registered by the server. This usually happens when you have bad ping or it could be on the server side. This Reddit post explains it pretty well if you'd like to pause to read it. White mask shields. For some unknown reason, Ubisoft decided to change the white mask shield from the shiny metallic shield to Fuse's shield. I personally like the old one better, but it doesn't matter since they're both gone. Deimos teaching Ash. There's a couple comic panels that talk about Deimos teaching Ash during her early years at the FBI. Tower. Tower had some changes due to it being lit up by a chopper and the Operation Heavy Metal cinematic. Cheon Angel Saya.
In Year 8, Season 3, we see Cheon Angel Saya in the opening cinematic training alongside Ram. She is killed during the tower attack caused by Deimos. In Year 9, a memorial has been placed for her alongside some other deaths at Tower.
Non-Ubisoft crossovers. There's been a decent amount of crossovers from non-Ubisoft titles. Tomb Raider's Lara Croft as Ash. The Netflix show Money Heist had an event and skins for Hibana and Vigil. Resident Evil's Leon Kennedy for Lion and Jill Valentine for Zofia. For Yakuza, Echo got 2 skins. One is Kiryu Kazuma and the other is Goro Majima. And Hibana's is Kaoru Sayama. Rick and Morty's Rick Sanchez for Doc. Morty Smith for Fuse. Pickle Rick for Smoke. Gromphomite for Sledge. Mr. Meeseeks for Ace, and Crumbopoulos Michael for Thermite. Halo's Master Chief for Sledge, Dead by Daylight's Huntress for Finka, and Trapper for Capcan, Nair Replicant's main protagonist for Maverick, and Nair Automata's 2B for Ayana, Street Fighter's Chun-Li for Ying and Ryu for Grim, WWE's Becky Lynch for Thorn, The Undertaker for Blackbeard, Roman Reigns for Oryx, and Rhea Ripley for Ash. Hopefully I didn't miss any other ones. Individual operator stats. Every operator used to have their own individual stats right on the game, rather than having to look on R6 Tracker. I really don't know why they took this out. Nameplates. In early Siege, anytime you look at an enemy, they'd have a nameplate and operator logo above their head, making them way easier to spot, and sometimes you could even see them through smokes. Victory poses. Operators used to do different victory poses in the MVP screen, 2 of the most iconic being Mute shushing everyone and Mira holding up an L. I'm guessing they got rid of it because of the Elite Skin outros. Timothy Hanley.
This one's admittedly a bit of a leap, but it's more than likely plausible. Timothy Hanley from the first 3 Rainbow Six games has an Easter egg on Outback, that being that the place that you're at is called Hanley's Roadhouse. Timothy Hanley is also a part of the SASR.
Kier Galanos.
When Glaz was reworked, they explained his rework as him going away to a sniping competition, where he met up with the former Rainbow operative Kier Galanos. He took second place with Kier taking first. After the competition, they met up, and she helped him upgrade his scope to what it is now, the thermal scope. Glaz also mentioned her in the current Battle Pass, saying she was one of the best instructors he's ever had. There is potential she's the up-and-coming Greek operator.
Free Ash Elite. Back during Operation Chimera, Ubisoft was going to raise prices in Siege, which received a ton of backlash. Because of this, the Ash Elite skin Sidewinder was given out for free. You could also get the Black Viper Elite skin out of one of the Chimera packs for free if you were lucky. Emerald Plains is Bartlett University. This is actually confirmed that Emerald Plains was meant to be a rework for Bartlett University. They changed so much that Ubisoft decided to give it a new name and new theme. Towards the bottom of the iceberg. Raptor legs. A very strange thing that would happened in early Siege was raptor legs. It was only in kill cams and it was pretty funny, but also a little creepy. Basically, the operator's legs would be backwards, as you could see in the video. Ubisoft decided to poke fun at themselves too by adding in a Frost raptor legs charm. Alpha Castle Barricades. In the Siege Alpha, castle barricades worked a bit differently. You could actually punch out holes in them with a couple of hits. This would have been really interesting if it stayed, because I feel like defenders would have found some crazy peek holes to make with it. Also, another thing was that ash charges just bounced off the castle barricades. Old Hibana's face. I'm not really sure why, but Ubisoft decided to change Hibana's face. Personally, I like the newer design better, but I know for a fact there's advocates out there for her old design. Kraken toy. A weird Easter egg on Old House was when you went to shoot or hit this little Kraken toy, it would grow. Different voice actors. There's been a few voice actor changes. Mira, IQ, Hibana, and Tachanka.
Let me have a look at you, capullos! I'm taking it down! Get your ass ready! I got this! I'd let you finish, but I really don't want to.
Watch this, cabrones! Let me have a look at you, capullos!
Remember, I'll be watching.
I'd let you finish, but I really don't want to.
Okay, stay here! We'll be right back! Applying first aid! Bomb detected! Spotted a diffuser. When left to my own devices, there's nothing I can't handle.
LMG mounted and loaded! LMG mounted and loaded!
As my friend would say, time to ring some ears. Remember, it's not over until I blow up the place. And even then, as my friend would say, a really big fucking hole coming right up.
As my friend would say, time to ring some ears. Remember, it's not over until I blow up the place. And even then, as my friend would say, a really big fucking hole coming right up.
SMG-11 ACOG. Everyone always talks about Jaeger and Bandit ACOG, but a lot of people forget that the SMG-11 had an ACOG, and it was very good. Sniper 90. When the Super 90 first came out, it could kill from a pretty ridiculous range for a shotgun, and that's why it got a new name, the Sniper 90. Bullet hole peaks. By far one of the most broken mechanics of old Siege. This was absolutely insane. Usually it was a defender doing this for spawn peeking. For the guy peeking through the bullet hole, he could see everything. For the guy getting spawn peeked, it looked like he died from nothing. Infinite dock stims. One of the most infamous and broken glitches of old Siege was the infinite dock stim glitch. As long as you didn't get headshotted, you could keep going back to dock for health. And this is also when he overhealed for 40, so yeah, it was pretty broken. Castle FPS glitch. Another glitch, but this one was legitimately game breaking. For whatever reason, spamming a regular barricade and a castle barricade back and forth would cause everyone's frames to drop. You could get it below like 10 frames, which made the game unplayable and gave a free win to the defenders every time. Daniel Bogart.
In Year 9 Season 1, we see Daniel Bogart canonically get killed off. This is a very, very, very loose kind of meta joke of Daniel Bogart from the first 3 games, who had the weakest AI out of all named operators in the game. I personally, and many others, have had issues with our perfect no-death runs, where Daniel Bogart would just mess it up. This has led some people to think that his death in Year 9 was meta.
Sugar Fright. Sugar Fright was a limited time event that was a game of team deathmatch on a candy-themed map, and all the operators looked like Muppets.
The Sugar Fright event used an old map from previous Rainbow Six games called Street. Streets was introduced into the franchise all the way back in 1999 with the Eagle Watch expansion. It reappeared in Rainbow Six Rogue Spear and also had a small variant with one of Rogue Spear's expansion packs. In all the other games it appeared in, it remained mostly unchanged with only a slight change to the color of the map. It even made it into the PSP Vegas game.
Poker chips.
When Consulate was first reworked, in one of the hallways you could find a bunch of poker chips that were the exact same as the Vegas 2 Collector's Edition poker chips, just with the updated Tom Clancy logo. These have since been removed for some reason. You could also find in one of the offices a printer that was constantly printing paper, which was just like the printers in the Vegas games.
Raven Shield and Rogue Spear.
During the alpha and betas of the game, the team names were called Raven Shield and Rogue Spear. These are the names of the 3rd and 2nd Rainbow Six games respectively. The icon for the teams are still in the game, but they are only found in arcade.
Outback window. When Outback first came out, there was a window that was completely solid that you could rappel through. I'm guessing it was originally supposed to be a regular window, but Ubisoft changed it last minute but forgot to add collision. Operator banter. Operators used to talk to each other in T-Hunt.
Once this is all over, it's your shout, mate.
Just don't play hero. It never works.
Let's watch each other's backs out there.
You remind me of my brother.
Don't touch my stuff.
Am I going to need to save all your asses again?
Since T-Hunt is gone, so is this banter. I think they should add it into multiplayer at the start of a round to give operators more of a personality. Death Plant. This plant on Old Favela would just straight up kill you if you stood here. Not sure what kind of plant it was or why someone would keep it in their apartment. LMG sniper scopes. Both Capital and Gridlock used to have sniper scopes available for their LMGs. These are really clean looking and great all around, but now they're only available for marksman rifles. SMG-12. The SMG-12 is one of the best secondaries in the game, even better than some primaries at a point, but Ubisoft changed the sound on it twice. It originally had a more suppressed sound when it came out. Then they changed it to an unsuppressed sound.
You already pushed. Where the hell is he? He's around the building.
Then they changed it back to what it currently is now, the more suppressed sound.
Where are you at?
ACS-12. When Maestro and Alibi first came out, their shotgun, the ACS-12, was actually buckshot instead of slugs. It was pretty bad, so changing it to slugs was a smart decision. Enemy callouts. You used to be able to hear the other team's callouts, like a gadget being deployed or someone calling out a reload. The best example I could find was from one of my live streams from 7 years ago, where you can hear Smoke call out him reinforcing a wall.
Really, it's not my sort of game.
Tactical Realism. Tactical Realism was a game mode only available in custom games. It was a really cool feature though. You had very limited HUD, no points, no kill indications, no nameplates back when they had them, no teammate outlines, no timer when the bomb was planted, and reloading worked differently. If you reloaded with 15 rounds left in a mag, instead of those rounds being added up into a new mag, they'd stay as that 15 in a mag for later use, so you'd have limited reloads. Tactical Realism was unfortunately taken out because no one played it. Skyscraper drum. You used to be able to play the drum on old Skyscraper. Unfortunately, the one on new Skyscraper breaks when you hit it. Break. This old iconic clip of the guy Break trying to find his way into the objective.
Where do we go? Breaks, they are all in the objective.
Break,
you need to go
get in the fucking room!
I don't know how!
If you don't, he will die and we will lose.
I don't know how to get in the room. I don't know how to speak to you, you fucking monk.
Are you retarded?
Yes.
Get in.
How?
1 op 4 remaining.
Right, one of them's in.
Down below? I can't. How do I go down? There's things. The stairs. Okay.
Get in there, you shit!
Time expired.
Gold medal for you!
Op 4 failed their mission.
Dark Souls. On Fortress, there's a reference to the Dark Souls games. If you drive your drone through the drone hole behind this fire, you can see a sword sticking out just like a Dark Souls bonfire. Abraham Lincoln. There's a random picture of Abraham Lincoln on Villa. I have no clue why he's here in some random Italian villa. Fuse the hostage. Back in early Siege, it was pretty common for people to pick Fuse, and well, Fuse the hostage. This is where the iconic picture of Fuse elbow dropping the hostage came from, but Ubisoft put in a little Easter egg of their own. When you reload Fuse's LMG, you can see it says Fuse the hostage on the inside. Oryx on the roof. This is referring to the very small amount of time Oryx was able to jump up rooftop hatches. It was only on the test server and never made it past there. Doc can't heal. In early Siege, Doc's stim wasn't able to heal. It could revive people with extra health, but that was it. If you hit someone with a stim when they weren't knocked, they would actually scream in pain and not gain any health. There also used to be a special white hit marker you get for hitting someone. The bottom of the iceberg. Canister. There was a scrapped canister game mode that can be accessed in old versions of Siege. It had recorded voice lines and fully rendered items.
Canister located. Canister toxins were stabilized. Mission successful. Be advised. Canister location has been compromised. Keep the canister in your possession. Pick up the canister to avoid mission failure. The canister has been picked up. Canister toxins destroyed. Mission is a success.
It seemed like the goal was for attackers to get in and disable the canister, while the defenders would roam around while holding onto the canister, and dropping it would auto-deactivate it, giving the attackers the win. It would be cool to see a new game mode like this added in permanently. Thatcher Elite. There was a scrapped Thatcher Elite that was found on the old files of Siege. It's pretty cool looking, and it's a shame it never got released as a second Elite skin for Thatcher. It even has a fully rendered MVP outro. Scrapped operators. There are 6 cut operators from the early build of Siege. They are Pointman, Assaulter, and Breacher for the attackers, and Trapper, Protector, and Sentry for the defenders. They all had very basic abilities. Honestly, it's kind of similar to what Recruit is, since it doesn't say anywhere they have special abilities or gadgets. Just basic secondary gadgets like barbed wire or a breaching charge. There's 2 more cut ops that we know about, although these were in the works post Siege's release. The first one is Patcher. Apparently it would have been a ranged castle, shooting barricades at doors, windows, and reinforced walls to patch them. Ubisoft ended up taking some of these ideas and creating a zombie. The last scrapped op is Flubber, which is most likely a reference to the 1997 Robin Williams movie. The operator would have had a mind similar to Ella, but instead of a concussion, it was a pile of radial green goo that landed on the floor that could cover an entire area if it was stacked. It's not known why Flubber didn't make it into the game, but parts of him made it to a zombie. Distillery. I had mentioned this earlier when talking about the scrap Polar season, but Distillery was meant to be the map that came out with Ella and Zofia. The Ubisoft devs did talk about this and they said it was indefinitely postponed. They also said it could be added, but it wouldn't be anything like it was before Operation Health. The only thing that we might have from this map is a picture from Ella's old bio that could have been the map loading screen. Pick up guns. In the Siege Alpha, it was originally intended for weapons to be picked up, but this was disabled when the alpha went live. There are still remnants of it, and it can be activated with mods. You can only pick up ammo though, but it would have been crazy to see Doc pick up Cali Sniper if it made its way to the full game. Outbreak Recruit. Recruit had a completely different model for Outbreak that was never used again. I'm not sure why they changed this look for just a limited time game mode, but I kinda like it. You can also find a bunch of recruits who didn't survive the Outbreak attacks laying around on the maps. E3 trailer. The E3 Siege trailer is basically an entirely different game than what we would end up getting. On Old House, you can see helicopters flying around. In the prep phase, you can see the hostage talk to the drone and move around. Then the attackers rappelling down from a helicopter. And as you can see, the graphics just look way better. Look at the drone this guy throws out. It's literally the size of a pencil. The defenders can also just move the hostage around. Any floor could be breached like there was a hatch there and you could jump down through that hole. It's honestly pretty crazy because this trailer is pretty much just a lie. Different ranks, different servers. Back in old Siege, you could get a new rank if you played on a different server. For example, I'm in the US and I had friends in the UK. I was in bronze at the time since I had already played my placements on my servers. When I switched over to the UK servers, I had to play my placements again, which you can see in this clip. This is also my first ranked on the UK servers, so I have no rank, but when I'm back in the lobby, I'm in bronze. This was an easy way to get a new rank if you had bad placement games. Running. The running animation used to look a lot different, kinda like how football players run. Console Pro League. Console had a Pro League scene on Siege for about a year. It was canned though, since no one watched it. The viewership was lower than PC Pro League, which wasn't too great to begin with at the time. The console Siege scene has been pretty popular since the rise of Jynxzi, so I could see it making a comeback, especially since a majority of the players are on console. Obviously Zims and anything else giving an advantage would have to be banned. I personally would probably watch it. What do you think? Would you watch a console Pro League game? Shaiiko banned. I mentioned how Shaiiko was banned earlier, so here's what happened. Shaiiko played against Penta, and he was doing so well that it seemed suspicious that he was a legitimate player. Pengu, a player for Penta at the time, was sure that he was cheating in some way, so he and his team reported it to Moss, which was the anti-cheat they used for Pro League. The anti-cheat found a macro sequence code that showed that Shaiiko was pressing his 4 key at an inhuman rate. Right after this information was discovered, Shaiiko was banned, and his team was disqualified. Shaiiko and his team did a whole investigation of their own, where they figured out the reason he was spamming his 4 key so much. It was because of Hibana's X-Kairos. The X-Kairos used to be very buggy back in the day, and it would take multiple hits for it to activate. B-Geniuses, who was Shaiiko's team at the time, even made a video showing how bad Moss anti-cheat was, but none of that mattered. It was all ignored by ESL. But that didn't matter to Shaiiko. He kept playing Siege, trying his best to improve and show that he was legit. As we know, Shaiiko ended up getting unbanned and proving everyone wrong. 4th Ella mine. Ella used to have a 4th mine, but it wasn't one she could throw. It was a mine deployed when she was down. I'm not really sure why they took this one out, but it was a cool feature. Zero and Deimos age.
Sam Fisher, 0, and Gerald Morris, Deimos, are younger than they should be. Fisher should be 68 but is 63 in Siege, and Deimos should be 58 but is 51 in Siege.
Chinese Siege. There's a special version of Siege that was made for China, which is heavily censored, and Ubisoft was originally going to implement all these changes into every version of Siege. But due to immense backlash, this didn't happen. It's definitely for the better too. Look at Cav without face paint. The chicken. There was a time when cheaters would have a picture of a chicken pop up on your screen while in an intense situation. It was honestly pretty funny, and one of the more creative cheats. Original TDM. Before the arcade playlist or the team deathmatch game mode was added, there was a planned mode called Warm Up that can be found in the old Siege files. It can actually be accessed with mods on old versions of Siege. Seems like they got pretty far with it, and this was all the way back in year 1, so I'm not sure why it took them so long to release it. Reverse Hostage. Reverse Hostage is exactly what it sounds like. The attackers have to bring the hostage into a certain objective in the building. No clue if this will ever get released, if it got scrapped, or just sitting on the back burner. PvE raids. The only thing I have on this is a deleted tweet from a reliable leaker. It says, back in year 5, Ubisoft was planning to release a PvE mode and a campaign, which leads right into my next point. Campaign. Yeah, I don't know why I made these two separate things, but Siege was going to have a campaign, as I literally just said. But I think a Siege campaign could be really cool if it's done right, so we'll see if that ever happens. People alive in Article 5. In the beginning of the Article 5 cutscene, you can see 2 students who look like they don't survive, but in the cutscene you get for completing Article 5, they're back from the dead. Dokkaebi and Echo. Echo used to not have a phone, which meant he couldn't be called by Dokkaebi. The lore reason for this was because Echo knows Dokkaebi's tech, so he knows how to counter it after they worked on an operation together. Second bad guy group.
Back when situations were in the game, 3 of the situations featured a second group that did not have a name. This group appeared in some of the cinematics for some of the operators, and also appeared in the E3 trailer of the game with the fake CGI gameplay. These have reappeared in Tubarau's cinematic at Lair. This has led to a small theory that they may in fact have been Kira's Legion operating years before Deimos made himself known.
White Mask voice actors. There were actually 11 different voice actors for the White Mask gang, giving them a lot more personality. I'll play one quote from each voice actor.
Ready up! I think they're close! They're close! Get ready!
Get ready for combat! Hostiles approaching!
I can hear them! Get ready! Keep your eyes open! They're close!
Ready up! I think they're close!
We've got company! Hostiles have infiltrated! Ready for combat! Let's do this! Keep your eyes open! They're close! Backing you up!
Realistic animations. This is referring to how the operators would move around a lot more when crouched, as well as having a different crouching stance. Hit markers. In the Siege Alpha, there were actually hit markers for every time you hit someone, rather than for just getting a kill. I can see why they took this out though, because you could just shoot through a random wall and get hit markers to check a room. Shield ADS. Another thing from the Siege Alpha was the shield ADS. You would actually be behind the shield when you had your gun up, which is insane. Could you imagine if they brought this back with the recent shield changes, how broken that would be? Motion capture. There's actually some footage of early development of Siege on Rogue 9's channel. One of the things was the original motion capture for things like barricading.
Allez, position et action. Ok, tu
Reinforcing a hatch.
Allez, vas-y.
And repelling. Original Blitz. The original concept for Blitz was actually him to run in during the prep phase. This was tested and they obviously saw how game breaking it was, so it got scrapped. But could you imagine if you went to reinforce a hatch at the start of a prep phase and this is what you hear? Waco. The Waco Siege, also known as the Waco Massacre, is actually what the map Oregon is based off of. The US federal government and Texas state law enforcement were in a 51-day standoff against the cult, who were suspected of stockpiling weapons. They tried to flush the cult members out with tear gas, but ended up starting a fire, which burnt down the compound, killing 76 people, including their leader, and 20 to 28 were children, which is just super messed up. Tower key art. In the bird room on Tower, if you break this box, you can find a secret drone hole that leads into a little room with the siege key art. You can see it's just a little statue and a flashlight shining on the wall. The final tier. Below the iceberg. Canal shipping container. On Old Canal, there's a guy trapped in the shipping container, and you can hear him yell if you shoot an explosive at it. He also made a return to New Canal, but has moved over to the submarine. Jaeger is dead. This is referring to the cutscene in Outbreak where Jaeger dies. This obviously isn't canon, but maybe in another Siege timeline it is. Idris Elba. Idris Elba did a few promotional trailers for Siege. If you look at his outfit, you might think it looks kind of familiar, and that's because it is. It's the same outfit for the Castle Elite skin, IQ Warden. Back in the very early days of Siege, IQ Scanner actually worked like Warden's glasses. Of course, this wasn't intentional, so it was removed, but I wonder if this is where they got the idea for Warden, and just left it on the back burner for later. Double overtime. A very rare thing that could happen back in the day was double overtime. This would happen when you were on match point and got a draw when the game was tied 4-4. It was now 1-7, and these games would last an hour if they went all the way. I don't know if it was possible to get triple overtime in ranked. I couldn't find anything on it, but it did happen in Pro League once. Rematching. Another feature that a lot of people probably forgot about was rematching. After finishing a ranked game, both teams could vote to rematch, and you could run it back if you got enough votes. This was a really cool feature, but I think it got removed because of people using it to boost their ranks. Giant hatches. A really weird thing in the alpha version of Siege were the giant hatches. They were double the size of a normal hatch and came with massive reinforcements. You couldn't even break the whole thing with one C4, and you also couldn't open it with a shotgun. They did have normal size hatches in the alpha too, so I'm not sure why they chose to make a few of them this big. Breaking Lion's drone. Yes, it was possible to break Lion's drone. It was in the game for about a week after it was discovered. This is like the fastest Ubisoft has ever patched a glitch. But yeah, enough shots would take down his drone. It was definitely not supposed to be in the game though, because if you tried to use the drone after it broke, you would crash the server. Shadow figure. There used to be a very creepy but also kind of funny looking glitch where your operator would turn into a shadow figure. It would just randomly happen, and you'd be gliding around the map in an A-pose stance. Even after you got killed, your body was stuck like Chuck in this position. Rainbow Six Patriots.
Something a lot of people might not know is that Rainbow Six Siege is built off the coattails of the cancelled Rainbow Six Patriots. However, this doesn't mean that Rainbow Six Patriots became Rainbow Six Siege. Despite common misconception, Rainbow Six Patriots was something completely different, with only a few elements of Patriots making it into Siege. Now, Rainbow Six Patriots history is long and complicated, so I'll try to keep this short. Back in 2011, Ubisoft released a couple of trailers showcasing their newest Rainbow Six game, that being Rainbow Six Patriots. It was built to be a sort of successor to the Rainbow Six Vegas games, but was also going to have a lot of heavy rain elements to it. Essentially, this was going to be a video game and book all in one. One of the original ideas they had was that it would be played from multiple different perspectives, so you'd have your regular Team Rainbow operative, but then you'd also get to play as a civilian and even one of the at some point. They were drawing heavily from a bunch of Tom Clancy novels, not all of which were written by him, and were just going to try to make a novel into a video game, which sounded awesome. Unfortunately, the project went through a lot of problems. For one, the leak trailer they released wasn't actual gameplay. It was target footage. It was all CGI. This is what they wanted the game to play and look like. Another, and this was probably the biggest reason at the end of the day, the game was being developed for the Xbox 360 and PS3, but the Xbox One and PS4 were literally just right around the corner. Over the course of a year, the game went through 4 different creative directors, and by the end, they had nothing to show. Despite this, Ubisoft still said the game was in development until 2014, when they said it wasn't and revealed the Siege trailer instead. It's still unclear what exactly caused Patriots to be cancelled, The developers knew that the game was going to be controversial because of the subject matter within the game, and before the game was even released, an article published in a game magazine was used by a real-life group to recruit members. Some right-wing talk shows tried to demonize the game, saying that being patriotic is a good thing and that the game was trying to make being patriotic a bad thing. They also ignored the real-life group using the game as recruitment material, and left-wing articles were calling this a conservative wet dream. They were calling it pro-military. They were calling it, supporting, which doesn't make any sense, but it was all just a big mess, and people on both sides of the political spectrum had these big issues on a game that only had like a few minutes of footage. But the other, and probably the most likely reason this game ended up being cancelled, was because it was going to be primarily a single-player game in 2011, 2012, 2013, whenever it was going to come out, which was a big no-no. Single-player games are out. They're not cool. We need to make multiplayer games. A few other issues the game had was that it was being made in the Assassin's Creed engine, which Siege was also made in, which is odd. But the Assassin's Creed engine wasn't designed for first-person shooter games, and it certainly wasn't designed for heavy rain games, and it definitely wasn't designed to have both of those games in one. Supposedly, what little they already had was also too difficult to just port over to the Xbox One and PS4, because if you know anything about developing games for the Xbox 360 and PS3, because of the PS3 hardware, it was insanely difficult to do. So they either had to just remake the game from scratch, which I think they tried, or just can the project entirely, which is what they ended up doing, and made Siege instead. Only a few elements of the game made it into Siege, but oddly enough, a lot of the elements, including the location of the game, made it into The Division. The Division took quite a lot of the elements that the game wanted to have, barring the story elements, and kind of incorporated those into its gameplay, such as shutting car doors. While The Division is a fantastic game, it doesn't have the same story that Patriots wanted to have, and it played it more safe. But it's oddly more accurate to say that Rainbow Six Patriots became The Division and not Rainbow Six Patriots became Rainbow Six Siege. If leaks are to be true, Ubisoft is developing a new PvE Rainbow Six game. So who knows? Maybe Rainbow Six Patriots will come out and will have a modified story to somehow connect Deimos into the current Siege timeline and kind of give more of a backstory to his origins.
Operation Patriots.
While on the topic of Rainbow Six Patriots, however, there is a sort of Easter egg to it in Ghost Recon Wildlands called Operation Patriots. It is unclear if this is supposed to be the canonical name of the mission that was set during the Rainbow Six Patriots game, or if this is just an Easter egg to that cancelled game and Operation Patriots is something else entirely.
Operation Red Storm.
While on the topic of operations, Deimos has several operations that are Easter eggs, basically. The first of which is Operation Red Storm, which is an Easter egg for the original Rainbow Six developers, Red Storm Entertainment.
Operation Mystic Tiger.
Another operation mentioned is Operation Mystic Tiger, the final mission of the first Rainbow Six game that Deimos is now canonically a part of.
Operation Zero Gambit.
The third named operation is Operation Zero Gambit, the final mission of Rainbow Six Rogue Spear.
Operation Steel Rose.
And the final named mission, Operation Steel Rose, is the final mission of Rainbow Six Raven Shield.
The Garage. You can see a parking garage in the reflection of Jaeger's goggles, and people never really knew what this was. According to Alexander Karpazis, it's a cube map for the main menu, which is used for lighting the characters, which is pretty cool. Sometimes it would glitch out and your whole background would become the garage. Rainbow Six movie. The Rainbow Six movie is a follow-up to the 2021 movie Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, starring Michael B. Jordan. He plays the character John Kelly, who is a Navy SEAL who seeks revenge for his wife's murder and uncovers a global conspiracy. At the end of the movie, there's a post-credit scene where John Kelly talks about forming Team Rainbow. As of January 2023, the movie was greenlit and has a director, with Michael B. Jordan set to reprise his role. It won't have any correlation to Siege though, it'll be based off of the Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six novel. I'm honestly surprised that it's happening because of how poorly the first movie was received. I mean, I saw it too, and I thought it was just a mediocre action movie, so we'll see if they make something better. Siege rap. A while back, there were a few songs that were made about Siege. These songs got a lot of views, one of them nearly reaching 50 million. I just thought I'd mention them because I feel like they're pretty forgotten at time, and a lot of people love these. Bartlett rework. Bartlett University was actually the first map to get a rework for multiplayer, since it was a situations only map. I talked about it much earlier in the video, how it was added during Operation Red Crow, but here's a side-by-side comparison of some of the big changes. They added some stairs into the main lobby. There's a little more cover in the reading room. They took away the ladder and added some stairs in the lower library. They added a new staircase into piano. This is where the piano stairs led up to. They got rid of the balcony and the compass hallway. And that's about all the changes. Bartlett is Harvard. In the game files, the name for Bartlett University is actually Harvard. I wonder if they originally wanted to use Harvard in the game, but the idea was way too controversial. No bank bathrooms. There's not one bathroom on the map bank. This has to be some kind of violation. Where are the employees supposed to go to do their business? Tachanka withstand. When Tachanka got his rework, he was originally supposed to get a withstand like Sophia. I believe this made it to the test server, but it did not last long. Vigil 1.5. When the 1.5 was first introduced, there was a test build that Coconut Bra, Beaulo, and King George got to play, where Vigil had the 1.5. According to Coconut Bra, this is the only footage of Vigil having a 1.5. Since after 8 rounds of Siege, the 1.5 was taken away from Vigil. Mirror on a hatch. This one is referring to the screenshot that was floating around of a mirror window on a hatch. Unfortunately, this is Photoshop, which is an all-time shame because imagine some of the goofy strats you could do with this. Hour-long round. As far as I could find, this is the longest round of Siege ever recorded, which is almost an hour long. The even crazier thing is that it was only a casual game. The mental fortitude of both players not to just challenge the other guy is insane. I would have peaked the guy at the 30-second mark. Recruit T-posing on yacht. In the yacht loading screen, there was a recruit just out on the ice chilling, T-posing away. They should have left this one in, I'm not sure why they took it out. Clancy the Tomcat. In one of the Idris Elba trailers, there's a kitten walking around. This little guy's name is Clancy the Tomcat, an obvious reference to Tom Clancy. 5-player situations. By using mod tools on old versions of Siege, you can actually play situations with other people. It seemed like this was the original intention for situations, but it got scrapped. It can still be accessed in the game files, and that's why you can get it working with mod tools on old versions of Siege. T-Hunt spectator mode. Another scrap thing from T-Hunt was the spectator mode, like they have in custom games. I can understand why they'd scrap this, since I don't really see it being too useful aside from just seeing how the AI behaves, but regardless, it still could have been a cool feature. Mission Impossible Fallout. The last thing on the iceberg. I saved the best and most outrageous for last. The theory is that Mission Impossible and Rainbow Six Siege take place in the same universe. Like I said, outrageous, but hear me out. Angela Bassett plays the leader of a major government organization in both Siege and Mission Impossible Fallout. Now stay with me here. After she had stepped down from Rainbow, she changed her name to hide her past and protect Rainbow, and became the director of the CIA, where she now oversees what IMF does, and therefore the two universes are connected. Now I know that there's a better chance that Beethoven performs at my next birthday party than this being true, but it would be really cool if it was. They could add Ethan Hunt to Siege, and his ability would be that he becomes a 10 speed when there's 10 seconds left in the round. Could you imagine just seeing Tom Cruise booking it to the objective with 10 seconds left? It would be hilarious. But that about wraps things up for the Rainbow Six Siege Iceberg. If you made it this far, first of all, thank you for watching the video. This took me weeks to put together, so I hope you enjoyed it. And secondly, if you could leave a like, it really helps me out, and it would be greatly appreciated. I got more Siege content coming in the future, maybe even a second Iceberg if enough people want one. But again, thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.